Welcome to the Rust Belt Revolution podcast, where we discuss everything from politics to pop culture.
I'm Nick.
And I'm John. We're two random guys from the Midwest. These are our thoughts and opinions, and nothing we say is meant to be taken as advice. Hope you enjoy the show. Good morning, Nick. How you doing?
Doing okay, John. How are you?
I can't complain too much. It's a little too cold for my liking, but, you know.
What's the weather like in your part of the world?
That's like, I don't know, 20 degrees out right now.
Yeah, that's cold. I don't know what the temperature is here right now.
Anything under 40 and I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. How's your week been?
Pretty good. Just working and spending too much time playing video games.
Which playing?
Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh, cool. That's the Ezio Auditore collection, right?
That was the first. Well, that was the second one, Brotherhood and Revelations, and then they had 3. So
what's part 3?
It's the American Revolution.
Oh, okay.
Which I love history, so I'm really fucking enjoying the games, which is weird because I haven't played video games in forever.
I dropped off Assassin's Creed after the Ezio games were done. I didn't even play the last one, I think, which took place in Constantinople, I think.
Yeah.
That's where I stopped playing those games because it just got to be Ubisoft. I feel like just kind of went crazy with cash grab, and it was like, oh, we need to shit out a new Assassin's Creed game every 6 months.
Well, that's they had a special. It was like half off for their membership thing. So I got that, and now I can play all the Assassin's Creed up to the last one. So I'm just going through those, and I've always wanted to play them, and I never have. So I just been working my way through them. I have found, though, with my ADHD, I'll start playing, and I will lose track of time. And I've been sleeping like shit for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. I actually have Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and I haven't played it, which I heard is like one of the best ones that to come out in recent years.
Well, this one has you get a ship and you do a bunch of naval battles and stuff, and that's my favorite part of it. And I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to get to the pirate one.
Yeah, that's Black Flag.
But this week we're talking about our 10 favorite artists in music.
Yeah.
Which for me is an ever-changing list. It's I mean, my top 3 or 4 pretty consistent always, but after that it changes or there's no order there. It's just these next 6 will be what I list today.
So for me, it's extremely hard to come up with a list of 10, but I actually, recommended John and I do this little exercise to try to give ourselves some sort of, box to work within. But I think I could sit here and rattle off probably 100, 200 artists, that have been extremely meaningful in my life over the years. So to only, narrow it down to 10, it's going to seem a little ridiculous, but like the 10 that I have are because there was a time in my life where like I was just really into this artist,
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's yeah, I don't know. My music taste is all over the fucking place. So, I mean,
same. Yeah.
Like,
why don't we start there, John? Why don't you talk to us a little bit about like how your musical taste has evolved and like where you get your musical roots from?
All right. So My dad, growing up, raised me on, you know, musicals from the 40s and 50s. So I love, you know, that easy listening big band swing sound. And then his favorite bands of all time are Three Dog Night and the Four Tops. So, you know, Motown and, you know, Frank Sinatra. Those were uh, big artists listening growing up. And then in high school, it was mostly gangster rap, like Young Jeezy and Gucci Mane and all of that stuff. Because my brother married, his wife had two kids that were my age, and you know, they're from Detroit, so they had that urban uh, listening. So that's all I listened to in high school. And then, you know, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Michigan. So I realized somewhere my junior or senior year that that music doesn't really apply to my life at all.
Yeah.
So I branched out and like my biggest musical influence is probably my older brother. He is 17, 18 years older than I am. And so when I was like 10 or 11, he gave me a Jimmy Buffett album. And Jimmy Buffett influenced all of my musical taste after that to this day. Like, introduced me to different artists I had never heard of, and, you know, got me into Bob Marley and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, James Taylor, Van Morrison. Just, I mean, Kygo even is I got through Jimmy Buffett. So I mean, like,
so Jimmy Buffett was your gateway drug of music.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah. After I found Jimmy, it was like, all right, I like this. This is laid back and happy, warm.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I don't know. That's well, and then in college, I really got into Hank Williams, like Hank Williams first. And you know, old school country music, and then I got into underground country through Hank Williams 3 and Hellbound Glory and Turnpike Troubadours and those kind of guys. And now it's just I will listen to anything. I've been listening to Miley Cyrus came out with a song called Flowers on Friday, and I have listened to it probably 30 times. It is a fucking bop.
Nice. I like Miley.
Dude, I don't discriminate against anybody at this point. I don't care if it's a guy. I don't care if it's a chick.
Hey man, yeah, I'm the same way. If it's good music, it's good music, you know? Like, I'm not going to yuck your yum, as we refer to it as. You know, I'm trying very hard. I used to be that guy.
Yep.
I used to be that guy who was like, you know what? You're trash. That music is trash. You're trash for listening to it.
Well, I used to dog on you know, popular country music pretty hard because it was like every song was exactly the same, you know, tailgates and beer and women, and it was just
still reserve.
Well, here's the thing.
Dog on popular country.
Well, here's my thing. It's not like life-changing, high-quality music, but it's fun.
Right.
And if you're sitting around a bonfire drinking, it's nice to have on in the background while you're hanging out with your friends. Like,
you have to contextualize the purpose of that music. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you know, I mean, it's the same as pop, basically. You just turn it on to listen. It's for fun. It's not to, I mean,
and I think that's the main gripe with it, though, right? Is basically this music is devoid of artistic substance. You know, substance. Like, it's not. This isn't. You know, I don't know. Like, I guess it's apples and oranges.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it's not gonna change the world, but it's fun to listen to every now and then. Is kind of where I'm at with it, and I will listen to anything at this point. And you know, So what about you? What's your musical journey been like?
Nuts. Absolutely nuts. I come from two completely different schools of like musical taste with my parents. And their tastes have been influenced a lot over the years too. My mom is very I would say very mainlined, like she grew up in the 80s, you know, and she grew up listening to country from her parents and stuff. So it's all country. You know, I grew up listening to, you know, Shania Twain, the Judds, Clint Black, you know, basically anything country all through the 90s. And she also really digs like 80s pop and stuff like that. She was really into like Madonna and Amy Grant. Um, so I grew up listening to, like, when I lived with my mom, it was all like that kind of stuff. And then, you know, she had ended up you know, marrying my stepdad, who much like your dad, got me into all the old like musicals from way back in the day. Like, you know, we'd watch uh My Fair Lady, or like
Hello,
you
Dolly,
know,
singing in the rain.
yeah, like all those old musicals and stuff. And I really got into those a lot. I like show tuney kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
You know, big band, like you were saying. I really enjoy like tap dance. You know, I
Yep.
was in tap dance when I was a kid, so like watching them, you know, the OGs like tap dance to big band music is
Yep.
fantastic. I also really dig like Cab Calloway and like scat.
Oh yeah.
Um, so and like you know, then you know, I'd live with my dad. You know, when I wasn't with my mom, I was with my dad. My dad, you know, he grew up listening to like Kiss and Motley Crue and Van Halen and stuff, and you know, Journey, and his musical taste is all over the place. Like, he was a Columbia House guy, or you know, the old mail subscription CD collections from the 90s. You know, you hear people making jokes about, oh, Columbia House is still trying to track me down for my last payment. You know,
Yeah.
like, so he had this massive CD library that I used to like, you know, reorganize and like mess with and organize by genre. He had everything from like Beethoven, Mozart, and Bach to like, you know, really heavy metal like Anthrax, and like, you know, he had like Body Count, which was Ice-T's side metal project. Um, you know, Metallica, every Metallica album, like every grunge album from the early 90s for the most part. And I gotta say, like, that's really sort of what formed my core musical taste, was that music library. And there was country mixed in there too, like all the same stuff my mom listened to. So I had so much access. I was blessed to have so much access to music. And like, I also went to church a lot, and my mom sang in choir, and I would sing in choir and stuff, and we used to go caroling and stuff around the holidays, and like I always enjoyed singing. So I've always appreciated like good vocalists, you know. And
Yeah.
like, just, there really isn't any kind of music that I can't find appreciation for.
Yeah.
My son is now playing violin in orchestra, and I had a blast going to his orchestra concert, listening to them, you know, perform. But there are a few genres of music in areas where I've really kind of just, this is for me. And for me, it's 90s grunge and a lot of like new metal that I grew up listening to in high school. That's the kind of shit that like it really gets me going. Like, whenever I'm working out, whenever I'm angry, whenever I'm sad, whenever I'm happy. I mean, I could just be cleaning the house listening to Korn, you
Oh yeah.
know. But I also listen to uh EDM. Like, I really dig. I was really into dubstep when it first dropped. Like, I listened to Skrillex a lot, Dead Mouse, Flux Pavilion, um, Zed, uh, fucking all kinds of shit. Excision. Like, I love EDM too. So, and now I find my taste is sort of like bridging the gap between like metal and EDM. Like, there's a few groups like Bring Me the Horizon, which is done really cool, like electronic, I would say sort of metal. I don't know what exactly they're classified as, to be honest, but I don't know. That's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at, man. Like I listen to everything. I was on my way home the other night listening to uh Childers. Was it Tyler Childers or
Yep.
yeah, and then like there's other country stuff I listen to. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
But I do have a list. I
Yeah.
did the homework.
That's that's.
Yeah.
I came up with my list.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I came up with my list last weekend, and it got deleted. So I have a new list. And like I said, this top 3 or
Yeah.
4 are pretty consistent. And then after that, I was like, I don't remember who I had on here. Let's try to throw some names down.
My list is gonna surprise, I think. But why don't we start with you, John? And you can tell the people like, are these in any particular order from like favorite to least favorite, or like explain what your methodology is there.
Okay, so I'm gonna say my top 4, pretty much in order. It changes a little bit, but the top 4 are always going to be my top 4, I think. And
Sure.
then the next 6, like I said, they're just kind of names I threw down. They're artists they're always there. I can go to them anytime and listen to them,
Yeah.
and they're right up there as probably my favorites.
Nice.
It does change though, and like I don't have Bob Marley on here right now, and he probably should be, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Fucking love Bob Marley.
I don't know. There's, there's definitely things that I should have on here that I don't, or there's
Right.
people on here that maybe I should have changed out for somebody else. I don't know.
But when you made this list, this is what came to mind.
Yes, when I made this list
gotcha.
this morning before we got on here, this is what I came up with.
All right. Well, do you want to stagger, like you do one, I do one?
Yeah, I figured that would be the best way to do it.
Sounds good.
All right. So my number 1 artist is Jimmy Buffett. Like I said earlier, he's influenced my musical tastes since I was 10 or 11, and my older brother for my birthday gave me Meet Me in Margaritaville. It was a compilation album, 2 CD set, and it had just all of Jimmy Buffett's most popular songs and even some of his less popular songs on there. But and when I tell people Jimmy Buffett's my favorite artist, they're like, I hate Jimmy Buffett. And we were talking about Substance earlier, and Jimmy Buffett is fun music. But if you dig, I mean, he's one of the greatest songwriters of all time. Bob Dylan lists him as one of his favorite songwriters. So, I mean, he's got some gravitas there if Bob Dylan's saying that. So, I love all of his music. I love going to see him. I've seen him 2 or 3 times now. I'd like to see him more. My one gripe with his live show is he plays the same 10 or 15 songs every show.
Mm-hmm.
And while I love those songs, and he does have, the 4 or 5 that he switches up every show or whatever.
Yeah.
It does get old, and I would like to see a little. I mean, he's been recording his first album came out in like 72, I think. But his first popular album came out in like 74, and he released 2 albums a year until like 86.
He's making that paper off of Cheeseburger and Paradise.
Oh, it's that and Margaritaville, and
yeah.
But I mean, I won't even say I listen to Jimmy Buffett all that much anymore. But it's one of those, dude, every spring, that first sunny 70 degree day, I will turn on Jimmy Buffett on my way to work, and that is all I will listen to that entire day. And it just puts me in that it's getting warm. I get to relax. I'm not, I mean, I get seasonal depression pretty bad. Haven't had it so much this year, which is great. It's fantastic. But just having that fun, laid back summertime grooving. I that just puts me in the perfect mode to go, okay, it's summertime now. And you know, he's released, I don't know, like 10 live albums at this point. And on those live albums, he has covered the Grateful Dead, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, John Prine, James Taylor, Van Morrison, you know, like all of those songs. And, you know, when I was younger and listening to him, I thought he wrote them. And then as I, you know, looked into it, I was like, oh, these other people wrote these songs. I should probably go check out their music. And so, you know, I branched off from Jimmy into all these other songwriters. And I mean, with his last album, in his liner notes, he had said something about his son introduced him to Kygo. And that album came out in 2020, during or right after quarantine. I don't remember. But I had looked up Kygo, and that was my number one listened to song in 2020 was the Sexual Healing remix, Marvin Gaye. Yeah. And so, I mean, Jimmy has very much just influenced who I am as a person and what I listen to and kind of my outlook on life. The first song my daughter ever sang when she was like 2 or 3 was Volcano. And, you know, I used to dance around the kitchen with her listening to Little Miss Magic, which Jimmy Buffett wrote for his daughter. So, you know, he's always been there for my big life events and stuff. So that's why he will always be my number one. I will always be a parrot head. And that's, you know, well, and then
that's perfect.
I mean, like I said, just the enormous amount of work he's put out, like albums. And I mean, from his first album, White Sport Coat and Pink Crustacean, all the way up until like 98 when he released Don't Stop the Carnival. Every album between those two is I can listen to every single song and enjoy every one just as much. After that, it dropped off a little bit, which is to be expected after, you know, 20 years of pumping out just hundreds of songs. But so
I gotta be honest, I'm not as educated about Jimmy Buffett. I'm not.
I mean, I would tell you it's worth delving into, but it's not for everybody. And, you know, I won't knock it if people don't like it, but you're going to have to put up with it if you're hanging out with me and it's warm up, because it will come on the playlist occasionally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So what about you? Who's number one for you?
Yeah, it's really tough. Like it's really hard. Like I've got so many different artists that have been like I would consider that music is sort of like the theme song to like a chapter in my life.
Yeah.
And you know, those chapters are sometimes good, sometimes bad, and the music is sort of just whatever was getting me through at the time. And for me, like Foo Fighters is really the probably one of my all-time favorites. Not just because the music itself is fucking amazing and just really gets me going, but like Dave Grohl just as an artist is a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you're going to find many musicians who have weathered the storm, like so to speak, over the years, as well as Dave Grohl has, and still remain true to like who he is and what he believes in. And, you know, he's not a sellout, you know, like he's a good dude. And then, like, he makes his money, like, you know, don't get me wrong, but like, I think he's just an awesome guy. But like the Pretender and like, you know, I can't tell you, I wouldn't, you know, I went through a really weird period of life in like 2008. I was kind of homeless for a little while. And I remember, you know, whatever, I don't know the name of every album, but whatever album the Pretender came off of, like I listened to it over and over and over. I'm actually gonna look it up real quick just because I can't remember it off the top of my head. Echoes in Silence, Patience and Grace. Yeah, so that was the name of the album that came out in 07. And like between 07 and like 09, which is strangely enough also the time that I met my, my wife, like it was a lot of, a lot of drinking, a lot of drug use, a lot of partying, um and a lot of like nights spent sleeping in really strange places. And I think that that album is kind of what I always went back to, and listened to. And yeah, the Foo Fighters for me are probably just the one that sticks out. I can listen to them pretty much whenever. I remember some of the songs, like they did the theme song for the movie Orange County. Going back to Everlong off their debut album, which really made them big. And then of course like Dave Grohl's history with Nirvana sort of like bleeds in there and stuff. And I don't
Yeah.
know. There's a lot of bands on my list that are from that era, like that,
Oh yeah.
90s grunge era. So
Oh, I mean, you want to talk about music that defined a generation? That's,
yeah.
I mean, I would say that's probably the biggest one in my lifetime. I mean,
Yeah. But yeah, Foo Fighters are probably my number one.
all
What's your
right,
number two?
all right. Todd Snyder. He is a
Todd
folk
Snyder.
singer. Yeah, he is a
Okay.
folk singer. Most people know him for Beer Run. He uh, sang that on the Bob and Tom show, and that was my first introduction to him. Was that song? My cousin
Is that
showed it.
the like
Yep,
BEERRUN? Okay.
Beer Run.
Yeah.
Got a car and a key and a sober driver, or a 10 out of 5. No, I don't, something like that. I'd have to. I'm not
Yeah.
great at remembering lyrics, but yeah, that's that one. And I remember my cousin showed me that song in like, I don't know, 98 probably. And like he had downloaded it off of LimeWire, and he's like, "Here, listen to this." And that was my first introduction to him. And then I didn't actually get into him like a lot until 2019. He had come out with Cash Cabin Volume 3 was the name of the album, and it was basically just him and his guitar and a banjo on one song, but and it was just him, and it was a real folky, uh, country influenced album, and I listened to the hell out of it that year, and then I dove into his. I started listening to all his live albums because he is much as a comedian as he is a songwriter as far as his live shows go. And
Hmm.
he has some of the greatest stories I've ever heard in my life. I will laugh till I cry all the time. I will see him every time he comes to Michigan. Uh, he has, if you look up the banana story on YouTube, it is the funniest fucking thing, and it describes acid so well. But and then and it's funny because his first album he was signed to Margaritaville Records, so Jimmy's influence there again, even though I didn't know that at first. But uh his fans are called shitheads, and so I am a dedicated shithead. I am part of the shithouse. The shithouse wire is his fan group on Facebook. I'm I'm a member of that. uh those are my people. And his songs, I mean, he's not the greatest thing. I mean, that's one thing. A lot of my favorite singers, not great vocally, but I'm a terrible singer, so it works for me. Uh, he's not the greatest guitar player. A lot of his songs don't make a lot of fucking sense sometimes, but just once you dig into him the way that I have, he is probably one of my favorite people on the planet. I would buy him a beer or give him a joint or a hit of acid anytime. If I could hang out with him, it would be the most fun fucking night ever. But his songs are very much influential in kind of my outlook on life. I have very much embraced the hippie lifestyle because of Todd Snyder. He his the one song, if you listen to his first live album, it's shit, I can't remember the name of it. It's his first live album anyway. There's a song on there, Ballad of Devil's Backbone Tavern. But before that song, he's got about an 8 or 9 minute story he tells about how he wrote that song, and it's hilarious. And then it leads into the song, and that song has the lines in it, life's too short to worry, life's or oh shit. Lyrics are not great for me right now. For one, it's too early.
You're good.
Let's see. Devil's Backbone Tavern. All right. Lyrics. All right. Life's too short to worry. Life's too long to wait. It's too short not to love everybody, and life's too long to hate. I meet a lot of men who haggle, finagle all the time, trying to save a nickel and make a dime. She said, "Not for me, not me, boy, no siree. I ain't got the time." And that right there sums up so much about my outlook on life. It's like I don't want to have to like worry about money and focus on that. I don't want to spend my energy hating anybody. I
Yeah.
just, like I'm enjoying myself. Let other people enjoy themselves. I don't fucking care. Do what makes you happy. Just don't fuck anybody over, basically. But yeah, Todd is, I mean, just one of those people that I think he gives off the vibe that I would get along with him instantly. Just one of those people that,
Yeah. The kind of person you know, like you'd meet him and you guys could just talk and hang out, and
yeah,
it'd be
and
easy.
I meet very few of those people. There's like a handful of them in my life.
Yeah.
And generally, if they're of the female persuasion, I fall in love with them and then I get fucked over. So for the foreseeable future, trying to avoid those kind of women.
Sure.
But how about you? What's your number 2?
Oh man, so tough. I'm honestly, I'm not gonna put these in these in any particular order.
Okay, that
It's
works.
too hard, like, because
Yep.
I honestly don't like any. There's no way I could say I like any of them more than the other. At any given time, on any given day, you could hear me listening to any of these 10 artists that are on this list. So,
Yep. That works.
the next one I'm gonna say is Tech Nine.
Okay.
I love rap.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like in pickup line at school, not pickup line, but like after the kids are in the car and I'm leaving the school for the day, and there's still like people in the parking lot, I'm like rolling out to rap.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, 2006, Tech Nine came out with Ever Ready, and that album was basically like the theme song to my life at the time. Like, I know it seems a bit ridiculous, but every party I went to, like, that album was like super. It was really popular. Like, we listened to it constantly, and when I think back to like high school, which I would never ever in my million years say was like a great time in my life, but I had a lot of good memories from like the time right around graduation until like up until for the next couple of years. I just did a lot of partying and stuff, and ever since then I've always listened to Tech Nine. Like, a lot of his newer stuff I'm not as up on, but like all of his older stuff from like Angelic, Ever Ready, Absolute Power, KOD, like a lot of those albums through the early 2000s, early to late 2000s, like I listened to them, pretty frequently. My wife likes Tech Nine too, and she's not really even into rap that much. So that was a big deal for me. I like the speed at which he raps. I feel like my brain craves complication, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I get that.
And like trying to sort of decipher his ciphers, if you will, like and kind of like, break it down and figure out what exactly it is he just said. Like it's fun for me to listen to that, like and try to do that. And then, I enjoy rapping along sometimes, even though there's no possible fucking way in a million years I could ever rap along with all of his songs because some of them are just fucking insane.
Yeah.
But you know, um, but like much like Tech Nine, I really dig that genre of rap. Choppers, um, like Twista, Yellow Wolf. Not as much into Yellow Wolf, but like I don't know. I really got into Hobson and a few other rappers that have been sort of associated with strange music, over the years. Chris Calico. Um, I don't know. Like there's a couple other rap artists on my list, but Tech Nine on any given day. Um, there's like let me put it this way. I have a pretty large rap playlist on Spotify. Okay,
Okay.
it's I mean I don't it's not as big as some people's, but it's huge.
Yeah.
For me, and I have a problem where even though it's my rap playlist, sometimes I just hear like three Tech Nine songs in a row.
Yeah. I got you.
So that's sort of like how Tech Nine is for me. Like he dominates my rap playlist. If it's not Tech Nine, it's probably Eminem, and if it's not Tech Nine or Eminem, it's probably one of the other two artists on my list.
Yeah.
And Eminem's not even on my list, by the way. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'm not big on rap. I don't know that I've ever heard a Tech Nine song, to be honest with you.
yeah.
But I will look it up and see. I mean, it's not my favorite, but I will listen to it occasionally. If the mood hits, I
I
will listen.
guarantee you there's a couple of Tech Nine songs you had to have heard.
I'm sure I have,
Yeah,
but I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't discriminate. If Spotify sends it my way, I will give it a listen. And,
sure.
you know,
Yeah. Your
uh,
turn, John.
all
Who's
right.
next?
So number 3 for me is Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
I didn't really get into them until quarantine, but I mean, I had Jimmy Buffett covered uh, Steel Magnolia, or not Steel Magnolia. What's the name of the song? Secret Magnolias or something. Whatever the song is, I can't think of the name of it right now. It's something Magnolia. And Uncle John's Band. And both of those songs I thought were Jimmy Buffett songs. And then I found out they were Grateful Dead songs. And then a website that I frequent is savingcountrymusic.com. And they did an album review of a vintage album review of American Beauty. And so I listened to that and Working Man's Dead because those are their 2 country albums. And at the time I was big into country. And those 2 albums I had listened to quite a bit. And then in 2020, during quarantine, I really, really, really got into psychedelics. And no music has ever been made better for psychedelics than the Grateful Dead. And one of the most fun times I've ever had, and this might be too much information, fair warning. One of the most fun times I've ever had at the tail end of quarantine. I had a girl I was hooking up with at the time came over, and I did some acid and 2-FCDK, which is a ketamine analog. And so I was tripping balls. And she came over, and I had my speaker going with the Dead on shuffle. and I was tripping balls, and I was going down on her, and I was like, "This is the most fun I've ever had in my life." And so it's too much information, but it
Hey,
was
man.
a great time. And then
Yeah.
you know, I mean, lyrically, Robert Hunter and Jerry Garcia have written some of the most amazing songs lyrically. Ripple, probably one of my favorite songs of theirs. Uh, uh, just I don't know, and just I mean, I really like jazz, and they have that free spirited. You know, everyone just plays. They had two drummers. Uh, you know, just as far as good psychedelic music, that's peak. You can't get better than that as far as that goes.
I
And
mean, it's jam band music.
oh
You
yeah,
know, it's
and I mean, and even with all the jam bands that have come out, you know, Widespread Panic,
Monkeys
Fish,
on Ecstasy.
yeah,
Yeah.
none of them can touch the Dead. I mean,
Yeah.
and I mean, you know, Jerry Garcia died back in '96, I think. So he's no longer there. But the Dead still tours. I mean,
Yeah.
they got John Mayer to replace Jerry right now, and they're touring as Dead and Company. So they're going on their final tour this year. I will be at one of their shows. I don't know which one because I haven't seen them live yet. But I've got a big group of people going. All of my
Nice.
Psychonaut friends.
Sweet.
But that would be probably my number 3. And then after this, the list kind of derails and it's just kind of a list.
Yeah.
But that would be my top 3. Those 3 are solidly there. I am a parrot head, a shithead, and a deadhead. And those 3 things are not ever going to change. So that's the top 3. After
Sick.
this, it'll be up in the air. So who do you want to talk about next on your random list of 10 favorite artists?
Oh, probably Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh, yes. Ooh, good choice.
I'm a huge fan of the blues, man,
Yep.
and Stevie Ray Vaughan is just my favorite. Like, so I'll tell this story, but like when I was young, maybe like seventh, eighth grade, still kind of like really didn't know jack shit. Um, I used to really dig a lot of the music my dad listened to, like I was saying earlier. And then there was some music he would listen to that I could not stand. And anytime he put on the blues, I hated it. And I know it's even hard for me to like say these days, but like I could not stand it. Like he'd put on Stevie Ray Vaughan or like BB King, you know, or
Muddy
oh
Waters.
yeah, Muddy Waters, but there was like other stuff too. Like he'd put on oh shit, like I'll throw in like Kenny Wayne Shepherd or like um I don't know. There's a couple names that are escaping me, but like there was others too. But like anytime he'd put on the blues, it was cringy to me, dude. Like I could not for the life of me understand it, and I didn't like it. And I remember one time I went to him and I told him, I said, I hate this. Like, could you please turn this off? Because he was listening to it like pretty loud, you know,
Yeah.
to the point where like I could not exist in my bedroom peacefully, you know, like so I literally asked him to turn it down. And he was like, I think kind of half in the bag at that point, not quite shit faced. And he's like, son, no. And he like turned it up louder. And like he fucking like he like turned it up just to piss me off. And I think I left and like went and played with friends or something. But like so it's one of those things where like I hated it so much and I couldn't stop listening to it. Like I you know, he kept playing it and playing it and playing it. I never really started to appreciate it until later because I honestly feel like you cannot appreciate the blues until you've had your heart broken.
Oh, yeah.
It's
That's
just you
fair.
can't.
I know.
Like you can listen to the blues as much as you want, but until you've had a good heartbreak, you will never understand the blues
Nope.
and you will never need the blues. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
the blues is about heartbreak
Oh
for the
yeah.
most part. Like that's what the blues is. It's it's one of my favorite genres. And
Yep.
like fucking for me, Stevie Ray Vaughan just oh my god, like his style of blues is was kind of like regional to Texas, but I mean he's the man or
Oh
was
yeah.
the man. You know, like no one in my opinion, he's one of the greatest. Like he's probably in the pantheon of like the top 5 guitarists of all time by my metrics.
Yeah.
You know, like that list is going to be different for everybody. Yeah, metal guitarists, crazy, you know, nuts,
Yeah.
and then like, but blues guitar, you know, is a different critter. And like for me, he's and the song, this like there's 2 songs for me that I love from Stevie Ray Vaughan. One's called "Life by the Drop," and I fucking love that song. It's not very long, and it's not very like it's not super. It's not like a massive guitar song. Like there's not a lot of crazy riffs in it or anything or scales, but the song just makes me happy.
Yeah.
And the other song is his cover of "Little Wing" by Jimi Hendrix,
Oh yeah.
all instrumental.
Yep.
The song made me cry the first time I heard it, and still to this day, sometimes like if I'm in the right mood and I'm listening to Little Wing, you'll see me shed a tear. You don't have to have words for
Oh
that
no.
song to move you. Like, and Stevie Ray Vaughan's version of it is there's no lyrics, so like if you just listen to Jimmy's voice in your head over what is probably a better guitar performance from Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Yeah.
even though it's not the original. It's more crisp, it's clean, like it sounds great. I don't know. I love Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
always will.
he probably should be on my top 10. He's not. I don't have any
Oh,
blues on my top 10
no,
right now.
you good.
Huh. Go
Dude,
figure.
I don't have any punk. I don't have any punk on my top 10. And
That's
like I love punk music.
that's this is a very not definitive top 10 list. Let's just put it that
Yeah.
way. It's like I said, it's what I came up with this morning. But
Yeah.
yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan is amazing. I love him. I remember I burned a copy of my brother's Can't Stand the Weather,
Mhm.
and that album is flawless. Like
Yeah.
you fucking YouTube Stevie Ray Vaughan playing and his string breaks doesn't even slow him down. He's just
He's nuts, dude. His signature move is like throwing the guitar behind his back and playing back here
Yep.
like this. You know, it's disgusting.
Oh yeah. That guy was amazing. You hear about the story about how he learned how to play guitar? I can't remember.
No.
I can't remember exactly how he got the guitar. I don't remember if his older brother got it or if his parents got it or whatever. But he got a guitar. He was like 8 or 9 years old, and he locked himself in his bedroom for 9 hours, and came out after 9 hours, and his fingers were bleeding, and that was how he started learning how to play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But and that always, I love that story because I have never had that kind of dedication with anything.
Yeah. Your fingers will definitely bleed if you start playing guitar for a while.
Oh yeah.
It's hard not to until you build up some calluses and stuff.
Yep. But
Who's the next on your list, John?
all right. So I'm gonna say number 4 would be him.
Him.
Yeah. They big influence in my late teens, early 20s. It was around the time. Jackass wasn't on the air anymore, but all the CKY tapes and the Jackass, I had them all on DVD.
Yeah.
Viva La Bam was on MTV at the time, and he had him and Villavalo on there all the time, and my cousin was a huge him fan, and he based his entire personality off of Bam Margera and Villavalo for a little bit of time there, and that gothic metal was all he would listen to. And
Yeah.
every time we go up to the UP, he was from the western side of the UP, and every time we'd go up there, that's all we would listen to while we were running around doing our hijinks that we shouldn't have
Yeah.
been doing. Uh, you know, foxtailing shit bags into ex-girlfriends' houses and stuff.
That's funny.
But you know, things like that. But yeah, they're I got to put them on the list. I mean, I don't listen to him a ton anymore. I mean, I got to be in a very specific mood to listen to him anymore. But it's always there. It's usually when it's cold out and it's wintertime and I'm just kind of feeling down a little bit. I'll put those on. They bring me right back to, you know, my early 20s when my body didn't hurt and you know, I was young and energetic and hopeful for the future and not
Oh,
this mess. But
yeah. Yeah.
I still love him.
No, him's
Uh,
good.
Villavallo just came out with his first solo album on Friday. Just got
Nice.
released. So I'm going to see
Yeah.
him in April.
Oh, nice.
So
I gotta be honest, I never got into him a lot, you know, really. I watched like all the CKY tapes and stuff, and I watched Viva La Bam and Jackass and stuff, but I somehow never got into never got into him.
yeah, that's I don't know. I mean, they're
Except for the one main popular song, obviously.
Wings of a Butterfly.
Wings of a Butterfly.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. That riff is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I would say they're probably my top. They're probably number 4 for me.
Yeah.
That they probably won't ever come off the top 10 list. I don't know that they'll always be number 4.
Hmm.
But so how about
Well,
you?
in that spirit of time,
Yeah.
I'll list my next one as Breaking Benjamin.
Okay.
So like Breaking Benjamin for me is the same kind of thing. Like it didn't come out of that exact style of music or anything, but you know, I couldn't even name you the main band members for Breaking Benjamin, but I could tell you almost all the lyrics to every fucking song off of that album, that main popular album that came out in like 2005, you know, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to look it up again because I feel like I'm doing it a disservice. But Breaking Benjamin is a band that, like, for me, takes me right back to high school. And I can put them on, you know, pretty much whenever. It was Phobia
Yeah.
was the name of the album. And then We Are Not Alone in 2004. That album's awesome as well. They were on the sound. They did a soundtrack song for Halo 2, I think, and called "Blow Me Away." Love that song. And then, you know, it's just angsty teen music, you know, like that. Really spoke to me when I was young. And at the time, I really got into Breaking Benjamin. I was living in Florida actually, and I was living with my mom and stepdad at the time, and they were very restrictive as to what they allowed me to do and what they allowed me to listen to. And you know, they wouldn't let me bring like certain types of music or materials like into the house. So you know, I was pretty restricted, and I you know, so it was almost like a rebellion, you know, listening
Yeah.
to some of that stuff like Breaking Benjamin, and which isn't even like super rebellious music. You
No.
know, it's really just angsty, you know, teen music, but I love Breaking Benjamin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've listened to a few of their songs.
Yeah.
Let's see. So next I'm gonna go with George Strait.
George
King
Strait.
King George. I had to put him on here because I mean, you want to talk about someone who never disappoints. George Strait has not recorded a bad song ever. And I know a lot of diehard country fans will not a lot, but there are some that will knock him for not writing his own songs.
Yeah.
But the caliber of songs that he chooses to record is phenomenal. I mean, that guy, I mean, he's got what, 80 number one hits at this point. Like
Oh
that
God.
guy is a machine, and he's
Yeah.
got just his voice is amazing. And my favorite song of his is "Seashores of Old Mexico." It's a Merle Haggard cover, but that song, no matter what mood, I could be just in the depths of depression. If you turn that song on for at least 3 minutes, I will be happy, because that song, it makes me happy, makes me feel good. I love that fucking song. Now, he's got other songs that will make me cry like you have
Yeah.
nobody's business. I mean, when I was going through my divorce, every time I listened to "Today My World Slipped Away," I would break down and cry so hard every time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's
it
tough.
doesn't have that effect on me anymore, but it is
Yeah.
still one of the saddest songs I've ever heard in my life.
I think one of I think my mom's favorite movie is probably Pure Country.
It's a great movie.
And it's a great movie. You know, he plays Dusty, whatever this
Yeah.
country musician. But the "I Cross My Heart" song from the end,
Yep.
oh, gets me every time.
Oh, yep, my dad got that movie, and I watched that a lot
Yep.
growing up. I mean,
So
that
did
was
I.
I mean, dude, I love that movie. I will
Yeah.
still watch it to this day.
It's
I
a
love
good
it.
movie.
It's a
My
great
favorite
movie.
part in that movie is when Dusty's on the porch and he's talking to the love interest's dad.
Yeah.
He's wearing that white cowboy hat.
Yep.
And he's like, Dusty, the funny thing about chicken shit, you see that little white speck on the top of chicken shit? That's chicken shit too. Or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole point was like, it doesn't matter if like if you're just a little chicken shit, you're still chicken shit. You know?
Yep. Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
it was
dude,
pretty funny.
oh yes, I love that movie. And I mean, that was
Yeah.
the first time I ever saw Kyle Chandler, and I love that guy. So, but yeah, I mean, he had to be on there just because
Yeah.
I mean,
I love
George.
George Strait's good.
I mean, you can't go wrong with George Strait as far as country music goes. That's
True.
top of the line quality right there.
Can agree with that.
All right, who's next for you?
Ooh, God damn.
Got to follow up King George. That's hard to do.
Yeah, I don't know how you follow King George. Shit. Let's go with I'm gonna go with Audioslave.
Okay.
Short-lived band, obviously only had, I think, a couple of albums. But I love sound. Like when I was thinking about what to put on the list, I'm like, fuck, how can I get like two great bands into the same, like, like I basically cover three bases when I say Audioslave. I have the best parts of Soundgarden, which is one of my all-time favorite bands from the 90s. And, having Chris Cornell in there, which in my opinion is the best vocalist, like top three best band vocalists of all time is, Chris Cornell for me.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not the best like front man, but like in terms of pure vocals, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
And then I also get the best, like one of the best parts of Rage Against the Machine with Tom Morello and that whole like, guitar style, and they made Audioslave together. And I fucking love Audioslave. Like,
Oh yeah.
I can listen to Audioslave basically whenever. And there's songs like, Like a Stone, or there's a couple other ones too that just they really move me,
Yeah.
I love Chris Cornell. I mourned him when he passed.
Oh yeah.
I would say he's probably the first artist that I ever like really mourned. I grew up listening to Chris Cornell. My dad was a huge Soundgarden fan. I listened to him on the radio. And like when Audioslave came out, it was one of those albums just like the Foo Fighters where like I listened to that album over and over again. I remember Cochise was the first single off of that album when they first got together. Cochise was the first big single.
Yeah.
And just that intro, dude, the fucking energy, him like screaming, and like you hear that drop by Tom Morello on the guitar.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Like the fucking power of that song. Amazing. And to this day, it gives me chills. Like I will put that shit on when I'm like cleaning and I just want to be left alone because I just want to get the fuck through it. And I'm just like, yeah, like, you know, let's fucking do it. Or like working out, like running or anything like that, you know. Love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Audio Slave for me.
Great choice.
Thank you for listening to the Rust Belt Revolution podcast. Follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. If you have any questions for John and I, please leave a comment. If you like the podcast, please share and leave a review.